welcome back to A Little Bit Healthier podcast. Today, I am so excited to have Dr. Nikoleta Brankov on here talking about skin health. And Nikoleta is a dermatologist, and she has specific methods that we want to talk about that can get your skin healthy and beautiful. And I know this is something particularly for women that all through our lives, we are very focused on getting our skin health in order because we suffer from, maybe as a teen, you have acne and then you have dry skin and wrinkles as you age. So I feel like throughout women's lives and men's lives, we're always changing and what our skin needs are changing. So thank you so much for being here, Nikoleta.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm very excited to be here today and share so much with you and your listeners. And I'm very excited for your new podcast.
Thank you. And why don't we just start about telling a little bit about who you are and what you do? And
yes, definitely. So my name is Dr. Nikoleta. I'm a board certified dermatologist and dermatopathologist. I am a mama of one, and my husband is also a dermatologist, and we moved to Arizona recently where I will be starting at a private practice here. I, originally am from the Midwest. So that's a little bit about me. I grew up, I'm a first physician in my family. So I grew up really in a family where I was a first generation. So my parents were both immigrated here from Serbia. And so I grew up with that kind of immigrant, hard work, hustle kind of mentality growing up. And then I really fell in love right before medical school with taking care of myself really from a whole foods, plant-based lifestyle. And I really read many, many books about nutrition, specifically like plant-based before getting into medical school. And so when I was in medical school, I just really continued to pursue this journey of, I love lifestyle and preventative medicine, but I'm so passionate about so many things in the field of dermatology and skin. I can talk about so much. So yeah.
That's wonderful. And I love that you said the plant-based diet, because when I'm working with people, we're often talking about, I don't think people are always aware of the connection that their food has on their skin or that underlying gut infections can have or hormones. And so we're always like looking at those underlying causes and imbalances, and that those are showing up on your skin. But I mean, there's also so many products out there that it's overwhelming. I mean, I can walk in the, even any website or store that you're looking at products and you're like, I don't even know where to start because there's so much you can do. And every product is saying like, oh, this does that. And they overlap. So I know you have a specific method that you use. So can you tell us a little bit about how people can get started?
Yes, definitely. So really anyone that's in there, you should really start this even in your 20s, but definitely in your 30s, there's a typical regimen, and it's called my Skin Success Framework. And what you want to think about it is 5 key categories of products that you should have in your daily regimen, and not complicate or overwhelm or make it much more than that. Now, those 5 steps of the Skin Success Framework consist of your sunscreen, which is the most important. And number 2 is your retinoid or retinol. And I can go over the differences of those. Number 3 is your antioxidants, which typically is a really good, stable vitamin C. And then the 4th is going to be a moisturizer. We need to keep our skin barrier healthy. And then number 5 is going to be a very good cleanser, and based on your skin type.
Okay. And so what is it? I know that there's also an order that you put them on that is helpful. So definitely. I guess sometimes I get into like, okay, I know I wash my face. So we got the cleanser. I think that's like the basic. And then there's the nighttime moisturizer and the daytime moisturizer, which can be confusing of why I use one in the morning and one at night. And then sort of like you get that serum. So that would be where you're saying the antioxidant, correct?
Yes. And so if you'd like, I can kind of go over a very good outline of a AM and PM regimen. Kind of. Yeah. So for AM, for the morning, what you want to think about the first thing after washing your face. Now, in the evening, if you take off your makeup and wash your face with a good cleanser, some people in the morning decide to just wash their face first with water, and you can do that. It all depends on your skin. If you're more oily, I do use use the same cleanser in the morning as well. So basically, first step in the morning, cleanse your skin from your retinoid in the evening, whether you use just water or a cleanser. But first step, cleanse your skin in the morning. Second step on that fresh, clean skin. Next step is that antioxidants. which yes, sometimes it's a serum, but it's in a serum kind of vehicle, but it's the antioxidant goes first. So the vitamin C. Okay. We want to prevent oxidative damage from the sun and all the pollution and all the different things that we are exposed to. And vitamin C placed on our skin in that stable form in that bottle is different than consuming like vitamin C in a lemon, right? So number two would be that vitamin C on the skin. Number three, you can do several things. So if it complicates things and makes it more overwhelming to do 2 moisturizers a day, like AM and PM, you can actually do either a moisturizer SPF. That way you're moisturizing your skin, giving it that healthy skin barrier, right? To keep our skin, because think of it, anytime you cleanse your skin, you are somewhat stripping it a little bit. So we need to moisturize and repair. So you can choose either moisturizer without SPF, or you can just choose, for me, I just like to use a very good SPF sunscreen that has good moisturizing, has ceramides, have very good moisturizing benefits because it makes it simpler for me. I personally don't do a moisturizer and then an SPF. Okay. So that's going to be like your morning regimen. And so from the Skin Success Framework, okay, fine. For the AM, we talked about the cleansing step, the antioxidant step, the sunscreen step, which is the most important to protect yourself from the day. And then, okay, moisturizing as well. You could either get a good moisturizer with an SPF. So in the evening, so first step is going to be removing that. If you applied makeup, you can either double cleanse or you can just cleanse. It just depends on how much do you just have sunscreen on or did you put makeup on. So I suggest that first step is going to be cleansing. Number two is going to be after that, applying your retinol or retinoid, depends on which one that you're used to. And there's different ways that we can talk about how that's done. I won't get into that now. And then the third step would be a moisturizer after that. So you're using your retinol to repair, to continue to build that collagen. And that's very important to use a retinol or retinoid in the evening because it is deactivated by the sun. So we don't want to be putting that on in the morning. So yeah, there you go with those steps. And then you want to make sure with your retinoid, you are moisturizing either the sandwich method, which I could talk about, or you just apply the moisturizer on basically after the retinoid. So that's in general how you would incorporate the basics. Could you add other things? You can add a hyaluronic acid serum in the evening instead of a moisturizer, for example, but you want to use the hyaluronic acid when your skin is very slightly damp. So perhaps like after you wash it, you can put little on and then you put your retinoid on. But I'm just kind of the bare bones. That's typically the framework. Now, I didn't mention if you add in a medicine or medication, well, then that you would want to apply. Typically, it's going to be before any of the other products, like after you cleanse your skin, then the medication, if you were prescribed the medication for acne. So it's kind of the first step. So I didn't include that, but yeah.
Great. And you said something really that was so interesting. You said double cleanse. So sometimes you recommend washing your face twice with a cleanser.
Yeah. So I think it'll be a good idea to kind of explain what double cleanse means. So in the evening, I highly recommend double cleanse for those that wear very heavy makeup in combination with sunscreen, and then you get all that oil and grime from the day. And what double cleansing is, basically, the first step, you're using some type of oil, whether it's oil immersed in water like micellar water, but you're using you're using an oil. The second step, you're using a water-based cleanser. And so it's very beneficial to really remove all that makeup. If you want to go into the science behind how that all works, I recently just did like 3 cleansing episodes on the podcast that talks about why, the oil, what that does at first, because it has that hydrophobic tail. What it does is it takes off that grime, oil, makeup, sunscreen, everything. But if you don't follow it with a water-based cleanser afterwards, a lot will stay on your skin. So you really have to use that second step to use then the hydrophilic head really of that molecule to really remove what that oil took off. You have to follow with the water-based cleanser. And there's a lot of suggestions for based on your skin type that I recently did on the biochemistry of cleansing episodes that go into all of that.
Everyone should check out those episodes, because that's amazing. I never even knew to do that twice. So you're teaching me something. I'm like, oh wow, double cleansing. Okay, at the end of the day, that's another step to definitely to add. And so you're saying that vitamin C in the morning is a protectant of your skin through the day. So that you put that on in the morning to protect your skin from the sun and from different chemicals.
Anything chemicals, anything that's going to be causing oxidative damage really to your cells. So whether it's the sun, UV radiation, whether it's pollution or dust in the air, I mean, it just really adds that extra benefit to the cells. And differently, it doesn't necessarily work exactly like a sunscreen does. It's just preventing that oxidative damage and really helping you get that nice glow. So yes.
Great. And could you tell us a little bit about the difference between retinoids and retinols?
Yes, definitely. So retinols are typically going to be over-the-counter products that you find. Retinoid is going to be a prescription strength product that your dermatologist or medical care provider will prescribe. And so the difference is with your retinoid, when you put it on your skin, it actually works a lot. It's going to be stronger. So the effects of a retinol or retinoid that you might have heard of, like the kind of a little bit of the irritation when you get started, and a little bit of dryness, that's all more pronounced when you use a retinoid. And so a lot of times with a retinoid, you want to make sure that you're really either starting off every 3 days, twice a week, and slowly. And I have a great episode where I talked about how to slowly start that retinol journey. And so retinoids are going to be prescription strength. And so when it goes onto that skin, it's just going to quickly create that reaction in the skin. Versus retinol, it's going to not be as irritating to the skin. And so many people tolerate retinols a lot better. And there's many great, excellent products over the counter that are retinols. And so there is no right or wrong which one you should or shouldn't do. The key with retinols is that you just need to pick one, be consistent, and continue that consistent routine with a retinol. It's not necessarily like you have to go for the prescription strength for anti-aging and all that. The important thing is consistency, choosing the best product that works for you, and almost getting to the point where if you can tolerate nightly, that would be the best. And you always want to apply a pea-sized amount of the retinol, which is basically like a green pea size to your face, and then that's it. So it's important with how much you apply, and of course, the consistency as you get the results. And usually you have to wait 6 to 8 weeks to really be noticing results in your skin. So be patient.
I know that's something that I have to say too a lot, because people want those quick answers. But if you keep consistency, you keep that routine, and you stick with it, then it does help. And tell us now. I just still have to ask, because I'm intrigued about the sandwich method.
Yes. So the sandwich method is for those that don't tolerate retinols or retinoids much, or if you have drier skin and you're just not tolerating it. One way that you can do it is you can apply first, after you cleanse your skin in the evening, you apply a moisturizer, whether that's a light-based lotion or a cream. That all depends on your skin type. Creams typically are good for dry skin. Lightweight gels are typically if you have super oily skin. But basically what you do is you first apply that cream to your skin, the moisturizer step. You apply that to your face. Then after that, you do your pea-sized amount of your retinol or retinoid, and you dab that evenly and spread that on your face. Then you follow it again with another quick little step of that same moisturizer. So you're just sandwiching the retinoid in between the two same moisturizers. And I tend to like that versus some people take a dab of moisturizer and mix a retinoid or retinol with that dab of moisturizer in their finger. And then they, spread it on little like pea-sized amounts in their face. But that you have to be careful with that, because as you know, if you put the retinoid with the moisturizer, it's not equally distributed. So you might accidentally put too much, say, retinoid around the perioral area, which in there you typically tend to get more irritation and redness. So that's why I like this method. So you put the moisturizer on first, then you see when you put the retinoid, and you're evenly distributing it. So
yeah, that's great. Oh my gosh, that's so much helpful information. I'm gonna go look at my routine I think I need to like pay attention, because I wash my face and then I just put some things on and go, but I'm not paying attention to like the order, which is really helpful that you really focus on what order is most important to do it in. And so like, if you're someone who is going to pick out you want new products, you hear this and you're like, okay, now I need the vitamin C, I need the retinoids, I need and you're standing at a counter or in a Sephora or somewhere looking at all these different products. Do you have any recommendations on how to know which products are good? Or they're all vary a lot in price. And, I try to say like natural products, because, we see toxins from places that we, get absorbed into our body. Our skin's kind of a giant mouth, but there's just so many different products. So do you have any advice on how to know which products to pick?
Yeah, that's definitely a long answer to basically the biggest key is, I guess, definitely follow all the tips that I share on the blog. But basically some of the advice I would have is it's not always the more expensive it is, the better the skincare ingredient it is necessarily. So you don't always have to be paying like $200 for a moisturizer, $80 for a cleanser. That's not necessary at all. So you don't need to be paying high end. Yes, are there some dermatologists that love certain products that they splurge in? And yes, there are some brands. But if you want to just go to Target and figure out, okay, what's the best for me? Well, how you want to approach it first is, well, what kind of skin type do I have first? It's important to be aware of that. Do I have sensitive skin, oily, dry, normal, or combination? Or am I also acne prone? So, or do I have any other inflammatory kind of disorder, whether it's rosacea, acne, or others, or eczema, for example. So it's good to know first your skin. Then when you go into Target or the drugstore, there are many great brands. There are dermatologist recommended drugstore brands that are excellent quality, that work really, really well. And some examples are CeraVe, La Roche-Posay, Cetaphil, Vanity Cream for sensitive skin. There's a whole list. There's more than that, but basically, the important thing is to know your skin type. Then from there, you really need to just try that cleanser or try that moisturizer. And so that's the other key, that you won't sometimes hit it the first time, you're trying something. And then the other key is really understanding, once you know your skin type, it's important to also know when you're choosing, for example, a moisturizer, what vehicle to purchase it in. And so what that means is a vehicle that a skincare product is created in is, it could be it could be an ointment. So like petroleum jelly, like an ointment. It can be, number two, it can be a cream. So cream, or a lotion, or a gel. So those are 4 different vehicles that moisturizers, for example, are made, right? And it's important to read that on the bottle and to know your skin well. Because, for example, if you have very dry, eczema prone skin and you choose a gel moisturizer, gels have alcohol that make inside of them that make that vehicle of a gel. So it's going to dry out your skin even more if you choose gel and you're already dry. So point being is creams are great for that dry skin, cream vehicles. Lotions and gels tend to be if you're super oily, living in a humid environment, and really need that lightweight feel. So that helps when it comes to moisturizers. I'm just going down my skin success framework because that'll help me here. So, and then cleansers, it's important again to know your skin type. You have foaming, non-foaming. Foaming cleansers do tend to help with oily skin better. Non-foaming, you can use if you have just regular normal combination skin. And usually the non-foaming ones are also called hydrating as well. But basically the key with cleansers, the overall key is to find one that removes everything from your face at the end of the day. But number two is not damaging your skin barrier too much. And so that's why it's important to know if you're oily or if you're not. That way, you know, okay, am I choosing foaming or non-foaming / hydrating? So when it comes to cleansers, when it comes to retinols or retinoids, again, that goes back to, well, what do you tolerate if you're starting your retinol journey for the first time? I just recommend, pick a retinol that, I have many recommendations on my website, but basically pick one and just get started with the retinol journey. And then the 4, of course, is your vitamin C. There are some vitamin C products that are great, like, for example, at Target, at the drugstore, but there are some higher end. Vitamin C is the one that I do tend to recommend that you do invest some money in because the formulation of vitamin C is really important. So SkinCeuticals is a great product. I know Vichy also creates a really good vitamin C. So with a vitamin C, I don't recommend going cheap there and buying something on Amazon or just in general, or a TJ Maxx or something cheap, because vitamin C, it's very important that it's formulated really well and that it's a stable molecule in that bottle. And I actually went over a lot about vitamin C and the stability and all that back in prior episodes as well. So there's definitely so much to kind of learn about that. And then the last one is sunscreen. So how do you pick a sunscreen at the drugstore? So similar, you can go for those brands that I mentioned, like CeraVe, La Roche-Posay. Elta MD is a great physician brand that you can buy, at the dermatologist office. But in general, when it comes to sunscreens, you can do tinted or non-tinted, or you can do mineral sunscreen or chemical sunscreen. Now, I tend to really like mineral sunscreens, and mineral sunscreens contain zinc and titanium oxide. And so basically with sunscreens, you also want to think the same way that you thought with moisturizers. So if you have very dry skin, maybe go for the one that's more of a cream versus like the lotion. You could do that as well. But the important thing with sunscreens is, do you want to choose the chemical sunscreen or the mineral one? If you tend to have more sensitive skin and you're dry or kind of sensitive, usually people do better with the mineral sunscreen, as the chemical sunscreen does tend to irritate the skin a little more if you already have sensitive skin. So hopefully that was helpful. I think I hit all the parts of the skin success framework there.
Yes. Yeah, no, that is perfect. So if you're going to splurge on the vitamin C. You can try the low end cleanser or moisturizer but you pick, if you're going to choose to go more high quality on vitamin C and
retinol. And I would say retinol
okay.
too. Yeah.
Okay. And I think that was a really good point too, how you said it might not be the first one you pick. So don't get discouraged if you buy something and it's not working as well as you wanted it to, or, just try something else that might be the right fit for your skin.
Definitely.
That's one. And what do you recommend? The other thing is, one of the challenging things I think for people is that combination. So it's like, you get the T-zone oil and then the dryness sometimes around like the eyes or the cheeks. And is there anything specifically for people that kind of have that combination that's something good when you're looking at, you don't know if you're dry or if you're oily?
Yeah, I would just say for that, for combination skin, I tend to favor like your almost like normal skin, and that you tend to tolerate most of the spectrum. As in, I would choose products that are more geared toward normal to dry if I was normal combination, because oily skin is really if you're really, really oily. And so typically normal / combination, it's kind of grouped into one, because typically with normal skin, you typically aren't sensitive to a lot of products. You can try many different products. You have more chance to kind of experiment and try various products. So hopefully that makes sense. If you're combination skin, I wouldn't necessarily need to choose all the products that are more geared toward oily skin, but I think it's a trial and error. It really is. One thing, if in the areas that are more dry on your face, you can make sure that you're moisturizing with a great ointments, like even at nighttime, Vaseline in those very dry areas would be great, but then avoid the non-dry areas. So it's really trial and error kind of with that to see throughout the day, what are you more of? But typically I lump those categories together because typically they can tolerate a range of products. Like you can tolerate foaming and non-foaming and all that. Yeah.
Okay. So they're because they have those the combination. So see what works for you and then stick with that.
Definitely. Yep.
Well, wonderful. Well, you've provided so much helpful information. Thank you so much for being here. And can you tell the listeners where they can find you? Because I hear, you have your own podcast and the blog, and I'm sure everyone's thinking, okay, now I need to learn more. This is great information. How do I dig deeper?
Yes, definitely. So there's great ways to learn. One of the definitely the things that I love sharing is the Skin Must-Haves Guide. It's a 30-page free ebook that really goes over all the skin types that I talked about today. It even gives for each skin type all the 5 different product recommendations, my top product recommendations for each category of the Skin Success Framework for each skin type. So if you think about it, that's 5 for each category for each of the 5 skin types plus acne prone skin. So it's full of information. So there they can download that on skinmusthaves.com. It's really easy, skinmusthaves.com. And then of course I have my podcast that I go there weekly and share tips, all ranging on skin, hair, and nails, and really helping women break the cycle of skin cover up, reverse signs of early aging, and start feeling completely confident in their skin right now. And so you can listen to the show, the Dr. Nikoleta Show. All the shows are also converted into blogs on my website. And that really helps you if you forget a product, if you forget anything at all, it's all laid out there as well. And I will also be having a course coming out as well that will help those that need even further guidance and help. So just stick around. And I share a lot of helpful information for the skin and for your inner glow and confidence.
Well, that's great. So go to skinmusthaves.com. Yeah, I'm checking it out too, because I want all those steps. This was wonderful. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next week.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.